Greetings, traveler from beyond the fog. I am Melina. I offer you an accord. Have you heard of the Finger Maidens? They serve the Two Fingers, offering guidance and aid to the Tarnished. But you, I am afraid, are maidenless. I can play the role of maiden, turning runes into strength to aid you in your search for the Elden Ring. You need only take to the foot of the Erd Tree. Then it's settled. Summon me by grace to turn another matter. Torrent has chosen you. Treat him with respect.
must be the new Tarnished. You do well to steer clear of a Gill Lake, fledgling. The dragon roosts there, and it's as fearsome. So, unless you're mad, or wish to be burned alive, stay clear of the lake. Don't be a fool. Turn back before it's too late.
to a man's personal belongings, huh? You scheming little thief! The gods demand repentance! Cough up your coin! All of it! Wait, please! I surrender! White flag and all! Finally come round, have you? I knew you would. You're a man of reason. True and true. Ah. Well, what do you know? You're tarnished, like me. Now, how did I get that wrong? I took you for a demi-human or some such. An innocent mistake, I assure you. Well, water under the bridge. Now we're squared up. How about we play nice from now on? A true man of reason. I'm Patches. Patches, tarnished like you, only free-spirited. Nomadic, you might, only for now. Those retired soldiers turned bandits. They're paying for my gruel. But honestly, this looting racket is bloody terrifying, frankly. I'm ready to wash my hands clean. Maybe set up a legitimate shop. So don't be a stranger. I'll be ready to wheel and deal come next time. Don't forget to pop back for another visit, friend. I'll be ready to wheel and deal. Well, nice of you to drop all a bit and welcome where you won't need a refund, because everything's... Yeah, I had those bandits make a clean break. Now they're all suppliers. And good ones at that. I mean, they don't understand a word I'm saying, but it hardly matters. We have a natural... They're all foot soldiers. Survivors of a defeated army. Worked to the bone by their high and mighty lord. Only to be thrown out with the rubbish. It's the same old story, eh? Well, it's nothing too special. Just something I'm saving as thanks for a very valuable customer. But then again, it would fetch some spectacular coin. And besides, this valuable customer could be a long time coming, huh? Everything is give and take. Cheers for that.
finished, are we? No wonder you should turn up here. I am Selene, a sorcerer, quite plainly. Why are you here? Ah, well, your aptitude does appear that one must choose one's masters wisely. I was exiled from the Academy of Rea Lucaria as a reviled, apostate witch. Do you still wish to learn from me? Well, you are a piece of work. Very well. You are now my protege, but I refuse to coddle or cast kind words. Anticipate grievances, young apprentice. Our art draws upon the powers embedded in Glintstone. But what is the nature of such power? Glintstone is the amber of the cosmos. Golden amber contains the remnants of ancient life and houses its vitality, while Glintstone contains residual life and thus the vitality of the stars. It should not be forgotten that Glintstone's sorcery is the study of the stars and the life therein, a fact lost on most sorcerers these days. Your appetite for learning, you make me proud. You...
Darrow, rotting in a cell is no... No. This is where it ends for you. Right. There you are. Had to work for it, but it's done. Don't say I'm not a man of my word. Here's your prize. Oh yes. I should say, if you venture north to Raya Lucaria and come across a venerable blacksmith who's a little on the large side, tell him I sent you, and he'll be sure to treat you right. I owe you one, I reckon. That's enough chit-chat for now. It's time we parted ways. That's enough chit-chat for now.
Hello? Is somebody there? Might I bend your ear for a moment, please? My name is Irina. I've escaped from Castle Morn. The servants there have rebelled. I can't be sure what it is. My eyesight's been weak since birth, you see, but I swear I heard frightful howling from all over. My good father secreted me out the castle, but decided himself to stay. He says it's his duty. As commander, I fear for father's life. The servants, they've since come for every one of the companions I escaped with. They haven't spared a soul. I fear it's no different at Castle Morn. Please, I implore you, would you mind taking a letter to my father? At the castle, my soul wishes that he escape. Even if his honor should be the price, please. I just want him to be safe. Thank you. Dearly. Then please, take this. Deliver it.
Buying or selling?
Forgive me. I've been testing you to determine if the Elden Ring would truly have you, if you had the mettle to endure this long and arduous path. It seems my worries were unfounded. Torrent had your measure from the very start, whereas I merely pretended. There is but one other thing I can do to offer you guidance. I can take you to the Round Table Hold, gathering place of tarnished champions, guided by grace.
There's a face I've not seen before. Oh, you can see how things have turned out. The menials have all rebelled. They gave me good service, or so I thought. But it seems it was all an act. Foul creatures, as it said. And true enough, they're foul inside and out. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but whatever you come here to do, I'm afraid Castle Morn won't hold much longer. Take this, by way of apology. I see. From Arena. Thank you. But I can't leave yet. Even if the castle should fall, to ensure the treasured sword of Morn does not fall into the wrong hand. If you see Arena, do tell her father will come for her once he's fulfilled his duty. Rena.
How could this be? My daughter deserved better. The fault lies with me. I chose duty over my daughter's safety. And that is how fate has answered.
I'll find them. I'll hunt them down and exterminate every last one of them. Rest assured, Irina, it will be done. I'll find them.
been an age since I... How can I help? Have a safe journey.
Everyone who came with me. They crossed the sea for me, they fought. Only to have their arms taken. Their legs taken, even their heads taken. Taken and stuck to the spider. Did you know? You're captured by the spider. You become... Everyone who came, only to have their arms taken. Did you know? If you're grafted by the spider, you become a chrysalid. It's quite a lark when you think about it. You're all on your own, are you? And heading to Stormvale Castle, enticed by the one in the white mask, I suppose. Oh, you've come to be one with the spider. Well, that makes us two peas in a pod. It's scary, you know, having your arms cut off, or legs, or your head. I want to be like everyone else, but I'm just too scared. I'm nothing but a craven. Oh, I know. Can you take this little one along with you? The poor thing deserves someone braver than myself. And the spirits look rather fondly of it. It'll be glad of your company, I think, the little one. It was a pleasure to see you. Oh, can you pass on a message for me? If you see the little chrysalis, tell them I love them. And that I'm finally getting the hang of this whole...
In search of the Elden Ring. Emboldened by the flame of ambition. Thou art of passing skill. Warrior blood must truly abide thy limbs. Tarnished. I shall remember thee, tarnished, smouldering with thy meager flame. Cower in fear of the night. The hands of the fell omen shall brook thee no quarter.
Not seen you before. Name's Bernard. Tarnished, just like you. Let me ask you something. Are you here in the lands between to take up the fight? Does your faith in the guidance of grace hold firm, despite the collapse of the Golden Order? Yes, Yura takes me back. That's a quality needed now more than ever. Any interest in bearing the torch? All I know is the sword. Now's the time to pass 'em on. To a good and proper tarnished, like... There's a myriad mementos of all the warriors who raised their arms in battle. Lost a fine tale, all told of true chivalric romance. That's how I fell in love with the sword. And the arts of combat. It grants meaning even to falling in battle. To death itself. Well... until... Oh, not that... Well...
Oh, my stars. I'm so happy to see you. Please. My thanks. Just give me a good smack from the rear with something nice and big, and I'll pop clean out. Don't dally. Give it your all, I say. Well, Cleo, that mighty wallop of yours almost spelled the end of... Well, I'm out now, and that's what counts. I thank you. And as a token of my appreciation, I'd like you to have this. Once again, the pleasure is mine. I am the warrior Jar known as Alexander. Iron Fist Alexander. I journey to the east, where I intend to further my education in the ways of war. And beyond these lands lie the scarlet, rot-blighted Caelid Wild, and upon their southern edge is Redmane Castle, in which a festival of combat is being held. I'd heard whispers of such festivities before. Doesn't the notion set your breast aflutter? I'm heading east to Redmane Castle.
Am I... Are you here as a customer? I'm afraid I'm...
Very well. Let my hand rest upon you, for but a moment.
Oh, welcome to the round. I teach incantations. The strength granted us by the tooth, and explore the secrets of the Golden Order, so that one day, if a tarnished of the Round Table hold should become Elden Lord, I might counsel them, ensuring order regains its proper form, righting rule over men. By the way, do you still see it? The guidance of grace. You do. Most tarnished are blind to it these days. You are something of a rare breed. Well, what do you say? Care to learn any? May the Golden Order show.
I'm known as Heed my warning. Those who live in death should be left well alone. All the more should you spy a mariner among their number, unless you wish to lay down your life in vain. Well, with a prowess for weeding Deathroot, how would you like to earn the strength of beasts? If you're inclined to hunt more of those who live in death and weed their Deathroot, then I'll introduce you to Garank, the beast clergyman. I have a matter of my own to attend to, and the beast himself wishes for someone to take my place. What say you? Very well. Show me your map. I've marked the location for you, of a hidden gateway. It will lead you to Garank, the beast clergyman. What is it? The map indicates where it will lead you to Garank.
Ah, hello. You must be new here. Well, just call me Dialos. The honor of one's house holds little import in these lands. By the way, have you met a young woman named Lanya on your travels? She's my servant, but fickle as the wind. Take your eyes off her for but a moment and she's good as gone. If you find her, please be sure to tell me. Be sure to tell me if you meet a young woman named Lanya. She's a servant to my house. She's been my companion. I've lost count of the number of times I've had to find her. Honestly, she's such a little tomboy.
Oh, this is a rare occasion. I can't remember the last time a new Tarnished made their way to the Round Table. Very well. As your senior, I bid you welcome. It is safe here. You may let down yet. Allow me a word of advice. As your senior, you are a mere visitor to the Round Table. Nothing more. A house guest. Yet to earn their keep. Remember your place, newcomer. There's nothing left to say.
You're a new face, no matter. It's all the same. Lay out your arms. Let's get smithy. I see you've noticed the chains. Nothing special. I'm a prisoner and these are my chains. I'm trapped by the hold. I'm dying, smithing for you fools. That's all there is to it. No, don't read too much into it. Well, no grudge against you. My being a prisoner is no fault of yours. Besides, I don't mind smithing. Despite my differences, the weapons get stronger all the same. Given time, technique never fails. Besides, it helps me forget the sheer terror of her.
Greetings, great Chai Amphia. Circumstances have compelled my stay at the Round Table Hold. Great champion, would you allow me to hold you? But briefly, perhaps you might share with me some of your lively vigor and your stout-heartedness. Doing so will grant me the warmth of a champion, and you, I am sure, will bear a Baldakin's blessing. Do you think it vulgar, perhaps? Where I come from, it is a sacred act. Ah, my thanks. You are very... What you felt light up inside you was a Baldakin's blessing. Though it is but a fleeting thing, I am afraid. Come back to me. Should you require another, I will take you in my arms as often as you need.
What do you need? Oh, are you aggrieved at the notion you are but a visitant here? Then you would do well to remember the first words of grace given to you. Stand before the Elden Ring and become the Elden Lord. If those words held any meaning to you, follow the guidance of grace. Lay low the shard bearers and claim for yourself a great rune. Do so, and the doors to the Round Table's inner chamber will open, and you will receive the wisdom of the Two Fingers. Once the wisdom of the Two Fingers becomes your own, I'll impart to you a proper welcome as a true member of the Round Table. I am sick and tired of them. These namby-pamby tarnished think us no more than a shelter from the rain. We've spoken long enough. I have matters to attend to.
Come over here, would you?
You're tarnished, aren't you? I would advise against taking the main gate into the castle. It's tightly guarded by hardened old hands. Oh, try the opening right here. The guards don't know about it. You'll breach the castle undetected. Yes, you're just I pray.
were a fine warrior. Your only mistake was your choice of master. Let the winds lift you to a higher place. Well, who do we have here? Tarnished, are you? I am the Felly Lu. Tarnished and warrior. I'm here by decree of my father. How utterly repellent this is. This grafting of Godric's ill befits a lord. He's tainted the very winds. If you intend to challenge Godric, I ask you call upon me. The winds run foul with his deeds. I'm certain father would permit me aid the fight. Apologies. As fellow Tarnished, we must each follow our own guidance, down whatever road takes us to the throne of Elden. Apologies. As fellow Tarnished,
Ah, nice to meet you. The pleasure's mine. I'm looking for a little something. Here in the castle, when I'm not hot-footing it from the troops, that is. But enough about me. What are you doing here in Stormvale Castle? This place is bristling with tarnished hunters, you know. They sacrifice our kind. Not exactly a place I'd stroll into without a purpose in mind. I see. Here to challenge Godric and lay your hands upon a great rune, are you? You can see it then, I take it. Well, enjoy it while you can. I'm tarnished, like you. But unlike you, I've seen neither hide nor hair of this guidance for the longest time. Still, I won't forget how it felt when I first came here, to the lands between. I'm privy to... Would you care to learn one? As a fellow tarnished, once guided by grace, I'd love to help you out, if it please. The battle art you've learned is of the Glintstone family. They were conceived at the Great Academy of Rea Lucaria, to the north of this castle. In the past, they obeyed laws which contravened the Golden Order, or so I'm told. Fascinating, isn't it? That the Golden Order was pliable enough to absorb practices that contradicted itself in the past. With the Order broken, twisted, and in need of repair, such adaptability is more important now than...
Mighty dragon, thou the true-born heir. Lend me thy strength, O kindred. Deliver me unto greater heights. Well... As a lord, I command thee, kneel! I am the lord of all that is golden. Truest of dragons, lend me thy strength. are home, bathed in rays of gold. What a pathetic excuse for a lord you were. Craven to the bone. Pushing me about like that. And after all that grafting, where did that get you? Look down on me, would ya? Godric, you filthy slug. Feel it. Feel it. Feel my bloody wrath. Oh, hello there. This weasel was... Godric was always looking down on me. He got what he bloody deserved thanks to you. I tell you though, what goes around comes around. He had an ugly heart, an uglier countenance, and met the ugliest of ends, eh? I suppose I'm free. I can do whatever takes my fancy. Can I, mate? Now I can do what... Can I?
Are you that newt? You've done well. I am Enya the Finger Reader. I interpret the words of the fingers, envoys to the greater will. Look there. The fingers tremble to let their wisdom wash over you.
Great Elden Ring. Root of the Golden Order, anchor of all lands, giver of grace, wellspring of all joy. Until it was shattered, the tragic corruption of the Order has taken its toll. Across the realm, life lies in ruin, fallen to pieces. Foul curses and misery spread, unabated. But the greater will has not abandoned the realm, nor the life that inhabits it. So it is that the tarnished are guided by grace, called to act. Brave tarnished, your great rune is a handsome shard of the Elden Ring. Seek another of its kind to become Elden Lord and restore the Golden Order.
Let the words of the fingers guide you. Well, I see. A remembrance of gold has found its way into your possession. Demigods and even the creator of the champions are hewn by the Earth Tree upon their end into remembrances. They are valuable indeed. These remembrances yet house the power of their former masters. And should you wish to wield that same power, well, I will lend you the strength of the fingers. Do not recoil from my offer. The fingers guide us all. And you, tarnished, you are here to take are you not? Ah, the children of the goddess, Queen Marika. She who is vessel of the Elden Ring. Tainted by the strength of their runes, her children warred, but none could become Elden Lord, and so grace was extended to your kind, the Tarnished. Listen, the fingers speak.
The greater will has long renounced the demigods. Tarnished, show no mercy. Have their heads. Take all they have left.
Indeed. But remember one thing. The demigods are each and all the direct offspring of Queen Marika. Godric the Grafted was but a distant relation, the runt of the litter. His divine blood sorely diluted. Ah, greater the children of the gods, tainted by the strength of their runes, her children war.
I am pleased to see. Would you like me to? Now, come closer. You are so. I was known as a deathbed companion. Where I come from, after I received the warmth and lively vigor from a number of champions, I lay with the remains of an exalted noble. To grant him another chance at life, to do so is the purpose of my being. But before I could bear the noble into new life, I was awakened by the guidance of grace and chased from my birthplace. Pray, be kind. Despite all that, I still wish to be a deathbed companion. So please, let me hold you like this, as often as it takes. Then good day to you, my dear.
We meet again after all. I apologize for any offense given by my bearing, but I'm quite unable to move. So, what do you need? Ah, you defeated Godric and claimed yourself a great rune. Looks like we both got what we wanted out of Stormvale, didn't we? Well done, friend. Something... As you might have guessed, I still can't move. My fighting days are behind me. No need to be polite. I've no use for it anymore. The misshapen corpse under Stormvale. That is a sacred relic of the Black Knives plot, as that famed night of assassination is known. It happened during the golden age of the Erd Tree, long before the shattering of the Elden Ring. Someone stole a fragment of the Rune of Death from Malekith, the Black Blade, and on a bitter night, murdered Godwyn the Golden. That was the first recorded death of a demigod in all history, and it became the catalyst. Soon, the Elden Ring was smashed, and thus sprang forth the war known as the Shattering. I once wished to become a scholar, you see. I've spent many an hour scouring the archives for knowledge of that fateful plot. The world has grown crooked, and if you intend to put it to rights, you'd better understand what happened to make it this way. I urge the utmost caution. Don't disturb the corpse more than necessary. Ah, so you've met Dee. Dee is an old friend. We found ourselves journeying together for a time, bound by our exploration of death. But our paths have since diverged, never again to cross. Though that's hardly an uncommon fate for two friends. Dee was telling me that he discovered the mark of the centipede. The centipede is an ancient symbol of the curse mark. As long as whoever finds and uses it is not nefarious by nature, then we may be able to form an alliance. If only I could speak to them in person. And if they were like you, all the better.
What is it? The map indicated will lead you to...
You again. I thought you'd receive a summons to the Round Table. Nefeli Lu. We met at Stormvale. I'm glad to see you here. I found it in Godric's grafting. You were the one to defeat him, I would hazard. Make good use of it. I don't intend to make a habit of scamming. Ah, yes. He's in his study. The room Ensha's guarding, just over there. If you haven't already, I advise you introduce. Father is leader of the Round Table. I'm sure talking to him will be worth your while. It's about time I headed off. I'll see you again, warrior, should the fates deign it.
You've received the wisdom of the Two Fingers, have you not? Then, just as promised, I bid you welcome. As a true member of the Round Table, I am known as Gideon Ofnir. As a Tarnished who wishes to stand before the Elden Ring and become Elden Lord, I am accumulating knowledge. To be all-knowing. You now belong to a select group of fellows. As such, I ask that you remain constant. You'll be after more great runes now, eh? Then as your fellow, allow me to divulge a little knowledge. The inheritors of the great runes, the Shard Bearers. We of the Round Table know the location of 5 of them, including the one you defeated. Godric the Grafted, Lord of Stormvale. General Radahn, who fought Melania and her rot to a standstill in the Caelid Wilds. Praetor Rykard, Lord of the Volcano Manor of Mount Gelmir. Morgoth, the Grace-Given, Veiled Monarch and Lord of Lane Dell. And Renala, Queen of the Full Moon, ruler of Rhea Lucaria's Academy. You'll still be after more great runes. I understand you've been speaking to Nefeli. She's my daughter. I took her in when she lost the guidance of grace. Though a mere axe-wielding barbarian, her youthful credulity suited my purposes, so I put her to work. Despite her looks, she is more than capable in the press of battle.